In this video, we're going to talk about a wild week of weather with multiple storm systems that will impact the US. It all begins in the Northeast, where snow is expected to fall and accumulate, making for a messy middle of the week. At the same time, in the South, we're tracking the potential for severe weather across multiple states. But it doesn't just end there. As we move later into the week and the weekend, we're tracking another storm system that will impact much of the eastern US and a totally separate one that has the potential to drop up to a foot of rain in portions of the West. I'm meteorologist Tucker Antico. Welcome back to another weather update here. We're going to break down everything you need to know and give you the information that you probably aren't hearing about on the media yet. So buckle up as we prepare to dive into this week's weather. We're starting now in the Northeast, and we're going to work our way ahead through the week, so if you're not interested in the Northeast or the South even, just skip ahead in the video, and of course, we'll cover everything you need to know. But starting with the snow out here, we're looking at snowfall into Wednesday morning. We're recording this here Tuesday evening, so this is pretty soon, and you can see a quick-hitting system, a clipper system, that will bring snow to much of southern New England and northern New England as well. Of course, the morning is not the only time we're expecting snow, and although that's when the snow will accumulate, I'm more concerned about the snow squalls that will form on the back side of this. Oftentimes, with systems that bring colder air like this one, you can actually get instability, like the kind we see in the summer when we get severe weather. Except this will create snow squalls, and those snow squalls you can see in those dark blue colors will sweep across the region in the afternoon. Certainly a concern. People are going to let their guard down after we're done with that morning snowfall, but that's when you really get the serious accidents on highways, when those snow squalls limit visibility. How much will fall? Well, generally speaking, lighter amounts, but if you're looking up towards northern New England and into the Adirondacks out there, that's where we could see on the order of about 3 to 6 inches, even a little more than 6 in some of those higher elevations. Southern New England, for the most part here, you really aren't going to see much. We'll call it 1 to 2 inches generally speaking, but we could see a little bit of extra snow too if you're in the mid-Atlantic, down closer to Pennsylvania with some extra enhancement off the lake. So that's where we start the week off. But we have even more impactful weather, even winter weather ahead, as we take a look at a severe threat in the South. Taking a look south, still on Wednesday here, we have the threat for severe storms, and this is a kind of unusual January threat, but they can emerge, and we're going to see it here beginning in the afternoon as you see storms popping up here across eastern and central Texas, and that's where we have an isolated threat for severe weather, but still the threat for some strong storms. And I'll also note, you're going to notice out here, New Mexico and into Colorado, might be a little bit of snow out there too. So that tells you we're in one of those winter systems. You know, sometimes they produce winter weather on the top side and severe weather on the south side. Makes for some really interesting stuff, but things you need to watch out for. Storms will not just end on Wednesday though. As we move this into Thursday, you actually notice overnight they become more numerous, and those storms are going to impact much of Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, and Louisiana, so you really need to watch out, especially as we get into the day on Thursday, as actually our threat is going to be greatest at this time, and I'm expecting this to primarily be a damaging wind threat, and there is the chance for some large hail too, but a tornado cannot be ruled out, so you have to be on alert for that. Let's show you exactly where that severe weather is going to be, and what we're going to do is take a look at our severe weather outlook here. This is on Wednesday. You can see cities like Dallas included in that, and then as we move this into Thursday, you can notice it shifts a little bit farther closer to the Houston area into the central part of Louisiana. Pretty crazy to think there was just 10 inches of snow out there. Now we're talking the chance for a tornado or two. But that's not the only concern we have out here. We'll switch it back to some of our weather data, and it's rainfall. That's going to be a huge threat here as well. And in just those 2 days' time, anywhere you're seeing these red colors, that's an indication of what may be a good 2 to 3 inch rainfall. So some flooding is possible, especially because the grounds are wet after the snow melt. And I mentioned some snow is possible as well. Well, you can actually see that if we look out closer to New Mexico, Colorado, especially in some of the hills out here. Those darker blue colors indicate where there may be 3 to 6 inches of snow, lighter colors indicating 1 to 3, but a dynamic storm system, and one that is not going to stop here in the south, as we're going to be watching this right now as it moves across the southeast, midwest, and the northeast as we approach the weekend. That storm system in the south, by the way, it's not just going to impact the south. Actually, it will impact the entire eastern U.S. here, so buckle up if you live out east, because it's going to bring a lot of different kinds of weather as well. Here's our system. You can see it pretty clearly, a little more zoomed out, but as we move this forward in time through the rest of Thursday and into Friday, you're going to see this really take over the southeast and the Midwest. I expect the Midwest to see a good amount of rain out of this. The southeast, the same deal, though if you live in the southeast, you're likely to hear some thunder and lightning in many of the spots that saw snow already. How about that? But also, if we look a little bit farther on the north side, getting later into Friday, you're seeing some of those blue and purple colors show up. What's that? Oh, that's sleet and snow. So it has a winter weather component with it too that you're going to see on the northern half here. You see those blue and purple colors? That's your sleet and snow showing up. You want to keep a close eye on that because this system begins to detach from the southern end of this so that rain does still fall in the southeast, but the stronger portion of it will end up on the northern end here. And what you're seeing is what will be a wintry mess for a portion of the northeast, but definitely a potential round of heavy snow for portions of the northeast as well. And as this continues in time through Saturday, now we're getting to Saturday afternoon, the system exits, but not after it drops a decent round of rain and snow, which we can take a look at here. And if we take a look at the rainfall first, the actual precipitation, you're seeing a huge area that's going to be impacted late in the week by at least an inch of rain. Basically, anywhere you're seeing those blue colors, that's a half inch of rain. Those purple colors all the way into Kentucky, southern Indiana impact, I tell you, there's going to be heavy rainfall across a very wide area. If we take a look at the snowfall here, it is more confined, but what stands out, of course, is how much of the country could actually end up seeing some snow from this. And if we want to get a closer look, an idea of how much will fall, we can inspect right here. Chicago, and maybe a spot that sees somewhere on the order of 1 to 3 inches. Remember, a lot of this is going to be sleet too, especially on the southern end of these totals, so sort of on that bottom side. So we're going to see wintry weather in the Chicago area through southern Michigan. That's going to impact much of upstate New York at this point, and also we're seeing up to 5, 6, even 7 or 8 inches. I wouldn't even be surprised if we see a foot of snow in some of the mountains in northern New England. However, there's going to be a sharp cutoff. Southern New England may be just a little too warm for this, and this is the battleground that we're going to need to watch right out here. And of course, we're going to have updates back on the channel as we keep a close eye on this. But northern New England, ski country, back in for another good snowfall, where we're looking at probably over a foot of snow for many of those peaks between the snow that comes on Wednesday and the snow that comes on Friday and Saturday as well. So our week really getting busy, but not over with yet. The biggest storm of the week is going to impact the West. And we're going to take a look at that right here, right now. The biggest storm of the next week here, perhaps of the next several weeks, will be an atmospheric river event that will crush the West Coast Friday through the middle of next week. It's a long-lived event is what we're expecting. And you're going to see this plume of moisture from around Hawaii all the way to the West Coast dump considerable amounts of rain. But what we're looking at here is just the moisture in the atmosphere, and you're going to see why this will be such a long-lived event. Keep an eye on those green colors I just pointed out off the West Coast. And as we go into Friday, you see them make landfall, basically out there in California and in the Northwest. And as we move this forward, you can see that very narrow plume of moisture continuing to drop rain into next week. And there it is. We call this a Pineapple Express, beginning around Hawaii and continuing all the way into the West Coast through at least the middle of next week. This is going to be a long-lived event that will likely drop up to a foot of rain in some spots and tons of snow in the mountains. In fact, let's take a look at how much is going to fall. With our future cast here, we can time things out. Friday, we're seeing that rain just begin to reach the West Coast. This will impact much of Northern California and actually into Oregon as well. But the brunt of this is likely to be in Northern California. And we're moving this through Sunday now into Monday, Tuesday, even Wednesday. You're still seeing that rain fall across the area, and that's why this is going to be such a significant event, because we're talking about inches of rain that will fall per day and will amount to totals that may be on the order of up to a foot, which we'll look at right here now. And as we move this forward in time, you're going to see those rainfall amounts really add up. And anywhere you're seeing those gold colors, that indicates areas that may see at least 4 inches of rainfall. Anywhere you're seeing these more brown colors, those are amounts that will reach closer to 10 inches, even up to a foot. The Sierra Nevadas out here, of course, that's where we get that upsloping, and when that happens, the rain hits the mountains, it tries to rise, the air does at least, and it just squeezes more and more moisture out of the clouds, and that's why we can get such significant events against those mountains here. But even on our coastline out there, that's going to be a really major event, significant flooding, and a lot of danger here, especially in that Monday to Wednesday time frame. I'll also show you, though, there's going to be a lot of snow, too, because in those higher elevations, you have all this moisture still rising up the mountains and then dropping when it's colder as snow. And some of the numbers we're seeing that our weather data spit out here, our models, is just insane. I mean, we're looking at pretty widespread, and we're seeing those gold colors, pretty widespread 2 to 4 feet of snow. And in some spots, I wouldn't be surprised if we end up seeing closer to 6. I mean, there's a 62-inch reading here, at least, estimation from our weather model out there. This is going to be across the mountains in the Northwest from Seattle down into the Sierra Nevadas, but it looks like those mountains a little farther north will see more as temperatures will be colder, and there will still be a lot of moisture, at least over the first half of this event. that impacts Oregon, Seattle, and even continues to impact portions of the northern Rockies. So this is a huge storm system that you'll want to check back for more updates on too. Make sure to like, subscribe, ask any question you have in the comments. We'll wrap up our video here and check back as we keep you updated on these storms. We'll also have an outlook on everything coming in the month of February. Looks like an active month of weather, so get the latest information before it even begins right here, and I'll see you next time.